be talking about how to factor a special case. As you can see, we sometimes have a binomial that has a squared in it, and these can still be factored. These, the ones that have a perfect square as the a value and a perfect square as the b value, these are called difference of squares. Okay, now it's important to remember it must be a difference. So what that means is we have to have subtraction. This will not work if they're not subtracting. If they're adding, it's not going to work. You can see what we're going to do is take the square root of both terms, and then that will give us our two factors. Okay, so the first step is to see if there's a GCF in both terms. Then we're going to make sure it's a difference and that both sides are perfect squares. We're going to identify the a value, identify the b value, and then we're going to be able to substitute it into the formula. You can see here, if it's a squared minus b squared, we can put a plus b and a minus b. Okay, or we can put the minus first, either way, but we're going to look at our perfect squares now so we can make sure we know what we're looking for. Okay, so 1 times 1 is going to give us 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13, let me see, is 169. 14 times 14 is 196. 15 times 15 is 225. And 16 times 16 is 256. Okay, so these are the perfect squares we're going to want to recognize to help us out. We're looking at that number that we have in the equal sign. Okay, so here, number 1, the first thing we're going to do is make sure if there is a GCF or not. Okay, and here you can see we do not have a GCF. There's nothing except 1 that we can divide both of these out of. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the square root of x squared, and that is going to be our a value. Then for our b value, we're going to take the square root of 36. Okay, now the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 36. Now it's easy to say that it's going to be positive 6, but remember, positive 6 times positive 6 is 36, and negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. So this is what we say plus or minus 6. Okay, it could be positive 6, it could be negative 6. So that means that one of our answers is going to be x plus 6 for that positive, and one of them is going to be x minus 6 for the negative. Okay, that's going to be our answer. You look down to the next example. This one you can see does have a GCF. So this 4 can be factored out of both of these terms. So we're going to want to make sure in our final answer that we do have our 4 in there. Okay, now our a is going to be equal to the square root of x squared, and our b is going to be equal to the square root of 2. Excuse me. That's what I said the answer. Gave it away. The square root of 4. Okay, so the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 4 is plus or minus 2, positive 2 and negative 2. So one of our factors is going to be x plus 2, and then one of them will be x minus 2. That will be our answer. Here, you can see we do not have a GCF in this one. There's no terms that 4 and 9 both divide by. So we know that our a will be the square root of 4x squared, and our b will be the square root of 9. Okay, so the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of x squared is x. And then for the b, we have plus and minus 3. So our two terms are at 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. And that is how you factor a difference of squares.